Welcome back to America Decides. Thanks for hanging around with us. Trump administration says with some frequency it is slashing waste and fraud in order to bring down government spending. Here's what a CBS News analysis shows. The United States actually spent about $220 billion, let me say that again, $220 billion more in the first 100 days of the Trump presidency compared to the same period last year. Danielle Alvarez served as a senior advisor to former President Trump's 2024 campaign, joins me now. Much of that is because interest rates require large debt service payments. The president has no control over that. Medicare and Social Security spending. The reason we highlight that is because Elon Musk and Doge can get only so far. They're these structural parts of our deficits and debts that I don't hear the president or the administration leaning into solving.
Well, so one of the things that Doge is doing is making sure to look at every agency and see how the executive branch of government can spend U.S. taxpayer dollars more wisely. Obviously, today we're celebrating 100 days. This president has moved at rapid clip. But to your point, there's only so far that the administration can go. And so the next thing that has to happen is we need to make sure that Congress acts. That's the next step that we need to do to make sure, as the president has requested, we pass a big, beautiful bill to make permanent his tax cuts. That's what I expect out of the next 100 days from this administration. And then beyond that, he's going to keep delivering on that campaign promise to rein in federal government, to make sure that he's spending those hard-earned American taxpayer dollars wisely.
The president, as he was boarding Marine One this afternoon, said precisely what you said. The next part of his presidency is all about Congress. Basically, he's kind of gone as far as he can go with executive orders, of which there have been many. We articulated the numbers when we opened the show. So the next 6, 8, 10 weeks, vital for his administration, his agenda, and the prospects politically for Republicans in the midterm elections.
That's exactly right. And I think that Congress is going to follow President Trump. Like, they're going to fulfill their responsibility and the mandate that they received last November when Republicans won the House majority, the Senate majority, the White House, won every battleground state. The president won the popular vote. The way that Republicans win the midterm is through good governance. And Congress knows that. Congress, I believe, will pass a bill, put it before the president, as he has requested, to make sure that they make permanent President Trump's tax cuts. No tax on Social Security, no tax on tips.
No tax on overtime.
That's exactly right. And I believe that they will get that done. The president has said that he wants to see it done by the 4th of July. He's given that timeline to Congress. And I think that they'll get it done because, again, the midterms hinge on that. The American people want to see good governance. They've seen President Trump deliver in his first 100 days, but it's only been 100 days. There is so much more to do.
About 3 weeks ago, when the tariff volatility was roiling the markets, President Trump said, "My message is hang tough." That was to American consumers and to American CEOs. It also seems to me that's his message to members of Congress on the Republican side. Hang tough, do your job, see it through, even though the poll numbers are down.
He said it from the Oval Office. I believe he was in a meeting with Netanyahu where he said, we need to do things that might be difficult to accomplish that other administrations have not done, but we can't keep kicking the can down the road. We have to pull the appropriate levers to make sure that the economy is working for the American people, for American families, and he's pulling the levers on tariffs to make sure that we get great deals for American workers and we bring back critical industries that have been shipped out overseas.
Stephen Miller told my colleague Nancy Cordes that the polling data recently is all fake. None of it matters because it's all a lie. You're someone who believes in hard data. You believe in someone, if the data tells you that things are not going well, you should at least absorb that and decide what you're going to do about it. Do you believe all the polling data, ours and others, of the past 2 weeks that have showed a slight dipping, if not a large dipping for the president, either on approval on economy, approval overall, satisfaction with inflation, or real numbers, and that they ought to be paid attention to by this White House?
So I haven't studied the crosstabs of all the polling that's been going on, but I do believe that in the first 100 days, President Trump has accomplished so much more. The thing that we have to remember, again, 100 days. It certainly feels like we've been at this for quite a long time. 100 days to undo 4 years of bad policy under Joe Biden. And I think the most important thing is that Americans remember what life was like under the first Trump administration. We had more money in our pockets. You know, we were thriving. We had a great economy. That's what President Trump is going to get back to. And when you look at those Democrat talking points where they first started talking about the price of gas, the price of gas is down. Then they started talking about the price of eggs. The price of eggs is down. We're 100 days in, and I have full confidence in this president who has had a long time to think hard about how he's going to accomplish all of his campaign promises, I am certain that he will deliver.
Danielle, I remember covering the first Trump administration. I was there every single day at the White House. I remember reading back then, it was Twitter, now it's Truth Social. Lots of commentary from the president back then about the surging stock market, because it was, and he cared greatly about that. All three major indices are down, and they're down historic levels. You can't find 100 days of down market reaction through any other American presidency other than Richard Nixon's in 1973. Also, the Treasury Department said yesterday, first quarter GDP is going to be 0.04%, basically half of 1%. That's almost 2 percentage points off the previous years. So lower GDP and stock indices down. Aren't all those metrics that matter?
There are metrics that matter, but the stock market is a short-term indicator. Who I can tell you is celebrating is middle America, are those in the Rust Belt, the workers in the auto industry who are thrilled that President Trump is prioritizing them. And I remember traveling with President Trump during the campaign to places like Michigan, to places like Pennsylvania, and all over the Rust Belt, and hearing these American families asking the president to put them first. And you see them celebrating this administration because of those levers that he is pulling. And the president has always stated that the baseline here is the long-term success of our country.
Hang tough. Danielle Alvarez, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.